Hey, in today's lesson, I'm going to continue giving you English you must know in order to sound like a native English speaker. Are you ready? Well then, I'm teacher Tiffany. Let's jump right in. All right, so this is part 2 of episode 1. Remember in episode 1, I introduced you to the YouTube channel, Kara and Nate. Check it out, it's amazing. And we talked about the video, 36 hours to climb the world's tallest mountain. Now the video is very entertaining, but during the video, they use lots of new English words and English expressions. So remember to check out the video after you watch this lesson, which is part 2. The link is also in the description. So let's keep going. The word that I want to start off with is this one right here. Coursing. Coursing. Now, the numbers next to the word represent the timestamp. So when you go to watch the video, look for 9 minutes and 21 seconds, and that's when you'll hear the word. So again, the word is coursing, and it just means to move or flow through something. Again, it means to move or flow through something. In English, we say coursing. Now, I want to give you some example sentences using this word that will help you understand it more and also understand how you can use it like a native English speaker. So, here's the first example sentence. Again, coursing. Sentence number 1. His teeth rattled at the raw energy coursing within his body. Think about an adrenaline rush when you're playing a game or you're doing something and you suddenly get a burst of energy and you feel like you can conquer the world. Well, the energy is coursing through your body, moving through something. Makes sense, right? All right, sentence number 2. She stared at the ashes and tears coursing down her cheeks, coming down, flowing down her cheeks. And sentence number 3. The familiar voice sent a thrill of excitement coursing through her veins. Again, coursing. Now remember, this is word from episode 1, we're in part 2. This is actually right here, word number 14. If you missed part 1, all you have to do is go to part 1 and you'll learn word number 1 all the way to word number 13. So again, we have the word coursing. You'll hear it at the 9 minute and 21 second mark. Now, the next word is word number 15. The word is ascent. Ascent. And this is at the 9 minute and 50 second mark. Ascent means a climb or walk to the summit of a mountain or hill. Again, a climb or walk to the summit of a mountain or hill. Remember, the video is all about the couple climbing the highest mountain. So it's very interesting. And again, this word, once again, ascent, can be heard at the 9 minute and 50 second mark. So let's check out some example sentences. Here we go. Sentence number 1. The ascent is best undertaken in summer or autumn, during the warmer months, not the colder months. The ascent, going up the hill or the mountain, is best undertaken. You should do it in the summer or in the autumn. Makes sense, right? So the next one is right here. Here's the next one. The ascent was difficult and dangerous in many places. Think about climbing up a steep mountain. The ascent will be very difficult and dangerous. And finally, Judy jumped up from the bench and began a rapid ascent of the stairway. She was running so fast up the stairway. Her ascent of the stairway. So once again, this word ascent, a climb or walk to the summit of a mountain or hill at the 9-minute and 50-second mark. Now remember, as we're going through this lesson, the purpose is to help you as you're watching these videos on YouTube, very interesting videos. You need to understand the words being used by regular native English speakers, not just your English teacher. So again, this will help you feel more comfortable and more confident. Now, the next word is damp. Damp. And it can be heard at the 11-minute and 49-second mark. And it just means slightly wet. Just slightly wet. In English, we say damp. It actually happened to me yesterday. I went outside to go get some food from the store, and it started raining. So I got a little bit wet, and I could tell it was damp outside for the rest of the day because the rain had poured down and then suddenly stopped. It was damp outside, just a little bit wet after it had rained. Make sense? All right, here are the example sentences. Sentence number 1. Don't sleep between damp sheets. Think about it. You put your sheets into the washing machine, and then you put them in the dryer, but they don't get fully dry. But you're so tired, you say, they're not really wet. They're just slightly wet, just a little damp. I'll go to sleep. You might get sick. You might catch a cold because you're taking all that moisture in, right? So again, don't sleep between damp sheets. Make sense? All right, next one is right here, the next sentence. The corner of the classroom was damp where the roof had leaked. Think about water coming from a roof, constantly dripping and dripping and dripping. That the floor will be slightly wet, damp. Here we go. And finally, I wiped the window with a damp rag. Not too wet, not a lot of water, but just slightly wet. I decided to wipe the window with a damp rag. You see how you can use this in real life situations like a native English speaker. Again, we say damp. So what about the next word? This next word is very interesting. Now this word is funk. Funk. And it was said at the 12-minute and 28-second mark. And it literally means a state of feeling sad. A state of feeling sad. So you're probably wondering, wait a minute, teacher. The video is supposed to be about a couple climbing the highest mountain. Why would the word funk, which means a little sad, even come up? That's why it's so important for you to watch real English videos from native English speakers. They use the word funk at the 12-minute and 28-second mark. And it means a little sad. So you got to watch the video after this lesson to find out why they said funk. Now, here's an example sentence. 2 of them showed signs of being in a funk at the last moment. Think about a couple, husband and a wife. The wife asked her husband to do something for the last 5 days. She's been asking him over and over again. And today she asked him again, but he didn't do it. So now she's in a funk. I keep asking him and he won't do what I asked him to do. And she's not talking to him. She's a little sad, a little upset. She's in a funk. Makes sense, right? Maybe you get in a funk sometimes. Be careful. Be careful. Here's another example sentence. You might be in a serious funk after your best friend moves across the country. You're no longer going to see your friend every day, so you're a little sad. You don't really want to go out and hang out with anybody else. You're in a funk. In English, we say funk. And also, here's another example sentence. Dark winter days automatically put them in a bit of a funk. Maybe it's really dark outside. Maybe it rained one day and it's just not bright and sunny. So you're kind of in a bit of a funk. You caught it? Good job. All right. Now, the next one, again, we learned funk. Again, a state of feeling sad. Now, the next one you'll see and you'll hear is blister. Blister. Now, this just means a painful swelling on the skin, often filled with a watery liquid. And you'll hear it at the 13-minute and 38-second mark. Again, just like the individual in the video, she's rubbing the back of her foot because her shoes caused her to get a blister. It's kind of like a bubble on the back of her foot. She got this bubble and it's like the skin has some watery liquid in it. So in the video, Kara and Nate climbing the highest mountain, they mentioned this word blister at the 13-minute and 38-second mark. I can even picture at what part of the video they actually started talking about the blister. So again, don't forget to check it out after this lesson. So let's check out some example sentences using the word blister. The first sentence, I've got a blister on my left foot. I've got a blister on my left foot. Next, my boot is pressing against a blister on my toe. Ooh, it doesn't feel good. Pressing against a blister. And finally, the blister broke when she pricked it. She popped it and it broke. Again, the blister broke when she pricked it. Now, I want to remind you, if you're enjoying learning vocabulary and expressions with me, don't forget to check out my daily English vocabulary channel. Every day from Sunday to Friday, I post a new English vocabulary video where I help you learn the pronunciation, the meaning, how to use it in real life so you can sound more like a native English speaker. So if you are looking to learn new English vocabulary words, check out my vocabulary channel, English Vocabulary with Tiffani, or hit the link right in the description. And every day I'll teach you a new English word and you'll have fun learning. All right, so let's continue with this lesson. So we understand what a blister is. The next one is barely. Barely. Now, barely can be heard at the 14-minute and 22-second mark. It means only just or almost not. In English, we say barely, only just or almost not. So, she just barely started eating. She almost put it in her mouth, but not just yet. We say barely in English. So, let me show you an example sentence. Here we go. His voice was barely more than a whisper. He was talking just like this. Not a whisper, but just almost a whisper. His voice was barely more than a whisper. Number 2, I barely put the phone down before it rang again. I literally just, and bring, it rang again. I barely put the phone down. And finally, he came back, but he's barely speaking to me. He's saying hi and bye, but he's really not talking to me a lot. He's barely speaking to me. In English, again, we say barely, only just or almost not. That's what we say in English. Now, the next one is whip. Whip. And this can be heard at the 15-minute and 51-second mark. It means to move somewhere very fast, like he is whipping the bicycle around right now. In English, we say whip. So again, you can hear Kara and Nate use this word whip as you watch the video, okay? So whip, again, it means to move somewhere very fast. So here's the example sentence. What kind of snack could she whip up in 15 minutes? Could she make quickly in 15 minutes? Next, a cold wind was whipping across the water, going very fast across the water. And finally, the wind whipped her hair into her eyes. She was walking and all of a sudden, whew, her hair went right into her eyes because the wind whipped her hair into her eyes. Makes sense, right? All right, so the next one we're going to look at is slick. Slick. Now, this can be heard at the 18-minute and 10-second mark. And it means to make something very smooth and slippery. To make something very smooth and slippery. Think about when you're driving. I remember when I first started to learn how to drive. My first time having my license and being alone, it was slippery. It was raining, the roads were wet, and I had to control the wheel. I had to be very focused as I was driving. The roads were very slippery. Once again, the word slippery, similar to slick, makes something very smooth and slippery. The roads were very slick. Here's an example sentence. The mountain trail would be slick. It would be very slippery, so be careful. Next, the roads were slick with wet mud. Wet mud. And finally, motorists are generally unaccustomed to driving on slick roads. So again, as I mentioned earlier, I was a brand new driver and I had to drive very carefully on the slick roads. Now I'm a very good driver. I was then too, but I'm even better now because I've had to drive on slick roads many times. Again, very slippery. We say slick in English. Now, as you continue through the video, you're going to hear this word right here. Regenerated. Regenerated at the 18-minute and 58-second mark. Now, this means the state of being restored. The state of being restored. You feel regenerated. You're restored to your previous state. You have lots of energy. You are regenerated. Like the woman in the video taking a nice nap, she's going to feel regenerated. So let's check out some example sentences. Here's the first one. After his holiday, he felt regenerated. He went out, spent time with his friends and his family, and he came back to work. Woo! Regenerated. He was ready to start working again. He had enough energy. Makes sense, right? Here's the next sentence. The electricity can then be regenerated by allowing the air to expand in a turbine. Again, can be regenerated by allowing the air to expand in a turbine. Makes sense, right? All right, and the last one, here we go. The land has been regenerated by the rotation of crops. The land now has renewed vitality and energy, and it's much better. It can produce more crops for the following year. Regenerated. So once again, regenerated can be heard at the 18-minute and 58-second mark. The state of being restored. Now, as you continue through the video, you will hear this word, bliss. Bliss at the 19-minute and 48-second mark. It means perfect happiness and great joy. Perfect happiness and great joy. A state of bliss. When I teach you, whoo, that's exactly what I experience. Bliss, extreme joy. So once again, perfect happiness and great joy. Here's the first sentence. I am full of infinite bliss. Infinite bliss, extremely happy. Next, my idea of bliss is a month in the Bahamas. Woo! Talk about a great trip. My idea of bliss, happiness, and joy. And finally, my old dream of bliss vanished into thin air. Again, vanished into thin air. We say bliss in English. Now, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Again, it's part 2 of episode 1. So you can watch part 1 by clicking right here and you'll see the video to watch part 1. Then go check out Kara and Nate's video and you can learn even more as you watch and understand. All right, I'll talk to you next time. But as always, remember to speak English. Do 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 do. You still there? You know what time it is. It's story time. Hey, I said it's story time. All right. So today's story. In today's story, I want to tell you about a time I actually hiked up a mountain with my friend. Now, my friend and I, we loved on the weekends going hiking. We enjoyed being out in nature and smelling the sweet air and being around people who also enjoyed exercising. So this one time we were hiking, and as we were hiking, we saw beautiful waterfalls. We took tons of pictures. And we were hiking and we stopped and we had a little snack, and we got to this area and we were looking and we saw tons of people sitting below us next to this stream, just eating wonderful food and drinking and talking to each other. They were having a great time. So my friend and I decided that we would come back and join the individuals down in that area, but we wanted to cross over first to go see another area. So when we were about to cross over, we noticed that there was kind of a strip. So I said, okay, I'll go first and you can come after me. So I started to walk over the strip. And all of a sudden, as I was walking, I was covered with bees. They came from the ground and surrounded me. And I got caught off guard and I screamed and I ran forward. But while I was running, I was kind of fanning them away. I suddenly felt my ankle starting to burn like it was on fire. And I looked down and one of the bees, it actually happened to be a wasp, was stuck in my ankle. It was stinging me. So I had to actually go down, pull it out, and I kept running. So I got away from the majority of the bees and the wasp, but my leg was on fire. So I was on one side and my friend was on the other, and I saw exactly where the bees and wasps were coming from. There was a hole in the ground and they were coming up. Now, I was on one side by myself, but people saw what happened to me, and they did not want it to happen to them. So this one guy said, ma'am, you're going to have to come back, and there's only one way to come back, the same way I had gotten to the other side. My leg was still on fire. I was looking at the bees in front of me, and there was a guy telling me I had to come back through the bees. So the guy went down. He tried to come to the middle where the bees were, a little bit behind them, and he was trying to distract them. He said, ma'am, when I count to 3, you have to run. You have to run. So I remember he said 1, 2, 3 again. It was in Korean, and I had to run through the bees again. Praise God, I didn't get stung again, but my leg was still on fire. My friend had to put ice on my leg. We wrapped it. It was getting swollen, and eventually it stopped. But I told my friend, I said, you know, when I ran through those bees and I got to the other side and I looked at you, I could tell you weren't coming to help me. She said, I'm sorry, Tiff. I care about you, but no, I was not coming to get you. So we both burst out laughing because I understood I was in pain and I didn't want her to experience the same pain. So we were really happy that the guy was there to help guide me back to the other side. So I'll never forget the time when I was hiking and I got stung by a wasp. It was really painful. Maybe you enjoy hiking and maybe you experienced something like that as well. Hope you enjoyed the story, and I'll talk to you next time.